Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Before we begin, I wanted to introduce our team. My name is Lena Brokob, and I'm with the Institute for Events and Business. And I'm here today with Michael Benedoso from LinkedIn, who's also an Army veteran. In creating this webinar today, we're hoping participants can get a taste of the military transition program that we are launching this summer. The MTP is designed to help transitioning service members with professional development skills while they complete a 12-credit-hour graduate certificate in business management with a concentration in business analytics from Indiana University's Kelley School of Business. The highlight of this program is our approach. It's very high touch. We stay connected with you throughout the program, providing strategic career planning, mentorship, industry-specific networking, and the potential for career placement. When I was separating from the Marine Corps, I was filtering through what felt like a sea of transition services and tips. And it's my hope with this MTP program that it kind of minimizes that transition struggle that veterans go through. So if you'd like to learn more, my information will be sent out. I have it hopefully on the last slide here. And at this time, I'm going to pass it over to you, Michael. Michael?
Hello. Well, nice to meet everyone, virtually nonetheless, but it's nice to meet everyone. What I'll be doing is I'll be going over effective ways to use LinkedIn to assist your transition from the veteran kind of space into the corporate workforce. To give you a little background on me, I'm actually an Army veteran. I got out in 2012 out of active duty, and when probably much like many of you, I don't even remember one thing that I learned in the TAPS class. Not sure if anyone does, but I did 3 days of TAPS, and I couldn't, I didn't even know how to construct a resume. When I went to business school after the Army, I actually was told that LinkedIn was the way to connect with people. I didn't really believe it. I thought that whole networking thing was kind of cheesy and not for me. But once I got on the platform, I was able to connect with veterans. I was able to connect with opportunities and actually get put a right foot forward during my career transition. So I'll actually be sharing with you some personal stories as well as how I was effectively using LinkedIn to connect with people with opportunities. Is there any questions? I'm not sure if you guys are muted or not, but if there are any questions, please don't hesitate to stop me and ask away. So here's the big question, right? Why join LinkedIn? And this was kind of the first thing that came into my head when I was transitioning. In the Army, you don't need LinkedIn, right? When you get a job based on what HRC tells you, based on the needs of the Army or the military or whatever. So why try to connect with people? This whole notion of networking doesn't really exist. It's foreign to me. But I realized that this is actually the perfect gateway to any opportunity that you want to do. We're actually launching a marketing campaign this week. There'll actually be a commercial on the Oscars on Sunday if any of you guys are going to watch that. Our whole mentality is, hey, you're closer do you think to your dream job. You may think, hey, I want to be an actor, I want to be a director, I want to be a graphic designer, I want to work for Google or Facebook. Well, you're actually a lot closer than you think to that opportunity, both personally connected as well as to the opportunity itself. And the reason behind this is because NASA actually put up a job on LinkedIn for looking for an astronaut, looking for people on LinkedIn to apply to be an astronaut. And we had over 3 million LinkedIn members that actually qualified for the requisites for that position. So you're much closer than you think than your dream job, and LinkedIn is a perfect gateway to do that. But let's break down the numbers here, right? This is actually, we have 414 million members worldwide. 2 million of those are U.S. military veterans. So you all know that coming from the military, that it's a very tight-knit community. We look after each other. That's kind of the culture that we instilled in each other through our years of service is look out for your brother and sister, pick them up, reach down. We're kind of a team effort. So you're going to find that this tight-knit community kind of cultural aspect doesn't dissipate once you leave the service. That if I were to reach out to a Navy guy, an Army guy, a veteran that's been out of service for 20 years, and I say, hey, I'm a veteran, I'm looking to transition, or I'm looking at your company, can you spare 15 minutes of your time to talk with me? You're going to find that they're very receptive and very willing to help you out. So this is a huge number, this 2 million. And you can find people in that pool of 2 million that are actually in an opportunity that you want to pursue. We also have 7 million companies, 5 million jobs, 26,000 schools, and a lot of knowledge that you actually can procure in order to get to the career goal that you're trying to achieve. So this is our value prop, right? We want to connect talent with opportunity. And I'm kind of in a unique position to provide you guys insight because my full-time job at LinkedIn is actually not to help to do this right here, this presentation. My full-time job and what I get paid to do is to actually work with companies, make sure that they have the right tools in place to find candidates and hires on LinkedIn. So there's companies out there, 26 or more than 26,000. I think we have something like 70,000 companies that are using LinkedIn's tools that are trying to find talent on LinkedIn. They're actively looking for people like you. And every company that I talk to, hundreds of companies, whether it's finance, tech, marketing, CPG companies, no matter what the industry, they always tell me the same thing. Hey, we have a big diversity hiring initiative. And veterans is a huge component of that. So we're actively looking for veterans on LinkedIn. The only way they can connect with that opportunity is if you have a profile and if you have the right information in that profile so that you are brought up in some of their searches, that you can actually connect with those recruiters and make sure that they find the right veterans for them. So let's jump in a little further here. So yeah, we empower our military and veteran members. There's a few ways we do so, right? Number one, we want to make sure that you establish your professional identity and brand, getting that message out there of who you are and what skills you actually possess and value you can bring to their company. Number two, we really want to make sure that you build your professional networking. So this is a foreign concept for a lot of military people, but we found that once out of the military service, a lot of veterans are actually out networking their civilian counterparts, something like 4 to 1. So you guys are doing it, right? Now, it may be a foreign concept for you once you get out of the military, and you may not know the best ways of going about it, but we're going to make sure that you do, and you guys are willing to actually take that first step forward. So that's great. That's perfect in alignment with the personality and characteristics of a veteran, right? Taking the initiative and going for it, knowing what the right thing to do is, and just doing it. Number three, professional careers. Like I said, there's a lot of over 70,000 companies out there who posted 5 million plus jobs on LinkedIn. So we want to connect you with exactly what you're looking for career-wise. And I'll show you how to do this in this deck. And lastly, professional skills. So not sure if many of you know, but LinkedIn acquired a company called lynda.com last year. Lynda.com is an online tutorial educational database which has hundreds of courses, thousands of courses that you can take to build some of those hard skills that you didn't develop in the military. So if you want to be a computer programmer, they have, I'm guessing tens or dozens or even hundreds of classes taught by real professors on how to code, how to, C++, all that great stuff that you can actually learn. So that when a recruiter says, hey, I appreciate your service, but you don't have these skills, you can say, well, actually, I took all these Lynda classes, and I actually do know how to know these skills. You can actually put that on your resume. I'll share with you at the very end how you can go about doing this, but one way we kind of assist veterans in doing so is we give all veterans a free 1-year subscription to lynda.com, so you can build those hard skills that we just discussed, and we give you a free 1-year subscription of a LinkedIn upgraded job seeker account so that you can connect with more individuals, search for more opportunities, and actually reach out to people more often than you can with just a basic account. Before I go on, are there any questions, any curiosities before I proceed forward? Nope. All right, cool. Let's jump in then, right? So there's really 3 steps that we prescribe in order to build out your LinkedIn profile and and really utilize our platform as efficiently as possible. And number one is to establish your online professional identity, right? This is your online brand, so that if I were a recruiter and I Google Michael Benedoso, what's going to pop up? What am I going to see? Hopefully not a lot of embarrassing photos. Maybe if you go on my Facebook, you'll see some. But the first thing that's going to pop up usually is LinkedIn, my LinkedIn profile. So this is your first chance to set your right foot forward and tell those recruiters, tell those companies you're recruiting at, who you are, what skills you actually have, as well as what value you can bring to their company. So it is really important to actually establish this and get that message out there. So how do we do that, right? Well, there's a few steps in doing so. This is a basic outline or snapshot of a LinkedIn profile. We're going to break down the components for you really quickly. Number one, you want to add a professional photo. And the reason for doing so is because of this big number right here. Profiles with a photo are 13 times more likely to be seen by a recruiter than those without. And I've seen this firsthand. I've seen recruiters do a search for, Army veteran, and a bunch of photos pop up, and they just naturally, instinctively just pick the ones with photos. Don't ask me why, but they just do it. It's a little more welcoming. They think, if you have a photo, you're more likely to respond. You're more likely to actually use LinkedIn. So make sure you have a really good photo. It doesn't have to be really professional or anything like that. Just make sure it's not you taking a keg stand or something crazy like that. Number two, write a grabbing headline and edit your custom URL. Okay, so this is my colleague here at LinkedIn. This is Greg Call. His job is the veteran program manager, quote unquote, but what he puts as a headline is actually what he does and who he is, right? So he connects veteran talent with opportunity. He does a hard stop and then puts Marine veteran. I do something very similar. I say, hey, I'm an account executive, hard stop, Army veteran. So that's just a good way to differentiate yourselves from everyone else on LinkedIn. Let them know that you are a veteran, but also what you want to do in your life, right? So maybe if you don't have a career right now, you can say pursuing opportunities in computer software or something like that. Also we also recommend that you customize your URL. This is very easy. All you do is you go into your profile, you click the edit button and change it to something that's a little more succinct than 30 characters that they have right now. It just makes it much more easier to put it in your signature block, put it on a business card, send it in an email, so, people can actually click on it. You also want to, so here are some examples of some really good headlines, right? This is our co-founder, Reid Hoffman. His headlines are entrepreneur, product strategist, and investor, right? So you know exactly who he is and what he's doing. If you want to get a little more specific, Carissa here is a UX designer, animal whisperer, and presentation guru, right? So you know she has some personality. She likes animals. You know that she does UX design and also can publicly speak and present in front of people. So just succinctly encapsulate the skills you bring, exactly what you want to do in your life. You want to definitely draft a compelling summary. This is usually the first thing that recruiters look at, outside of the picture, of course, is who you are, right? And I always tell people in their summary to write something you've done in the past, what you're doing now, and what you want to do in the future, right? Basically who you are, what you're doing right now, and then where you want to take that. And so for me, I say, hey, I'm a West Point graduate, former Army officer, working at LinkedIn, want to take my skills to the technology industry or something like that, right? And you can see Greg's example here. I won't read it for you, but he's pretty succinct. He's not going on and on and on and listing all the skills and attributes that he has. But I will say this, right? I keep mentioning that recruiters are actively searching for candidates. Well, how do they get pulled up? Well, there's a keyword search. So anytime you have something in your profile that has a keyword, you're going to pop up in a search, right? So if I'm a recruiter and I'm looking for Army veteran plus C++ coding or something like that. If you don't have C++ in your profile and you're a computer coder or you're a CS major or something like that, you're not going to pop up in a search. So make sure and ensure that throughout your profile, whether it's in the summary, whether that's in your experience, or your skills and endorsements, that you have absolutely every single skill, every single attribute that you want to be known for, that you want to be brought up if a recruiter is looking for that. That way it increases your likelihood and chances of being brought up in a search, and they can say, okay, this person not only is a veteran, but he has exactly what we're looking for. Detail your work experience. Now, a lot of you are going to ask, hey, I was in the military. I was 11 Bravo. I was an infantry guy. I rucked around and shot stuff. How the heck am I going to put that in LinkedIn? And the answer is to a couple-fold, right? Number one, you want to civilianize your terminology, right? If I would read a lot of your resumes and it has some military lingo, very common basic stuff like battalion, brigade, convoy, combat operations, that kind of stuff, I'll know exactly what it means, right? If I were to show it to 99% of recruiters who are civilians and don't have a background in the military, and I say, hey, I was brigade commander, for most of you, you'd be like, wow, that's awesome. You led, hundreds of people. For most recruiters, they would say, oh, what is that? Is that like a team? How big is that, right? So you want to make sure that you civilianize your terminology so that they understand right off the bat, exactly the skills and what you did in the military. So as you can see here, Greg's profile, he has some military lingo in here, but for the most part, you kind of understand exactly what he does. Same thing for the rest of his summary. When he was applying for the veteran program manager position here at LinkedIn, he changed every single thing in his LinkedIn profile to have something to do with program management. And that's a great way to really pop up on searches, but also when you're in the interview process, so that they can't question that you actually have the skills that they're looking for, right? So when we were actually interviewing him and looking for a program manager, every single thing, every single experience he had in the military and outside had something to do with program management. And our thought was, wow, okay, this guy definitely has the experience. He's got the will, he's got the background, he's made in the shade. Let's do it. Skills and endorsements. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
The keyword search, you had mentioned in step 3 in terms of the summary. When an employer searches for keywords, does it only go through the summary box, or does it also go through the rest of the experience to search for the skills as well?
Yeah, that's a great question. So anytime a recruiter looks through a keyword, it looks through that keyword throughout the entire LinkedIn profile, so not just the summary. The summary is your little more in depth of a headline. So when recruiters look at a profile, they want to know exactly up front, but kind of like in the military, bottom line up front, who you are, what you're doing right now. So it's just more succinct way of saying, this is who I am.
And the follow-up question is, if you have a keyword in there like 3 times, does your profile get bumped up to a higher point in the search? How does it rank the searches when it finds it?
Yeah, that's a great question. So no, it doesn't get bumped up. If you have a match, you have a match, and you get tossed in a pool. Usually recruiters narrow down the search based on education, location, past experience, more keywords, so they can find the exact type of candidate they're looking for. And if they're looking for veterans and you have that hard stop with something veteran, that's really going to distinguish you from the rest of the candidates. So, I look at recruiters, they really try to get a manageable number when they're going through their searches. So anywhere between 50 to 200 people in their search kind of results. So the more skills that you have, the more information you could provide, the more likelihood you are going to be brought up in that search.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Sorry, I keep going on. I should pause for more questions, but anything else for you guys? Nope. Okay, great. So let's do this. So skills and endorsements, right? You know, probably many of you have seen this on the LinkedIn profile. I'll tell you that there's not a whole lot of weight put on these just because people know that anyone can endorse anyone for anything. So I wouldn't stress too much about this. Obviously, I would put all the skills that you want or all the skills that you want to convey that you have because they will be brought up in keyword searches. And it also kind of just reinforce to the recruiter that you do have those skills. And to ask for more endorsements, there's really two ways to go about it. You can just ask someone to endorse you for those. You can actually endorse other people, and then you get brought up in their automated kind of news feed. Hey, endorse this person for this skill. And you can also move your skills to the top. So let's say, you know, I have sometimes I get endorsed for like military or something like that, Army, and I don't want that on my LinkedIn profile because people know I was in the Army. It's not really a skill either, right? So I always move up program management or, you know, sales or leadership or stuff like that to the top of the list, of the skills list, so that people are more people are more likely to endorse me for those skills than the others. You also want to put out all your honors, your awards, recommendations, any kind of features like that. This is pretty self-explanatory, but try to put as much information as you possibly can about where you were educated and any kind of awards you get. They do look at awards. They do look at volunteer service as well. Companies are much more likely to interview someone who has some kind of volunteer service so that they do stuff outside of work. They like to see that in those candidates. All right, so that was step one. We went through it pretty quickly, but any questions on how to build your profile and why it's important? Okay, cool. So I just killed it then. No one's got questions. I must have answered everything. So step two, developing your professional network. Now, as I mentioned before, this is somewhat of a foreign concept to some military veterans, but once we know to do it, we do it, and we do it well, right? We out-network most of our civilian counterparts. I'll tell you this, though, just sharing a personal experience. I think it was like first 2 or 3 months into business school, all my roommates were doing informational interviews, quote unquote, and they were reaching out to people and having conversations with them. And again, I was kind of like on the side saying, "Why are you guys doing this? This is so cheesy. You're just schmoozing with these people for your own kind of selfish benefit. It made no sense to me." But then they started getting interviews, and they started getting offers for internships and roles and stuff like that. And it kind of clicked to me. I'm like, wow, okay, this must be a necessary step in the corporate world. So then I started reaching out to people. And again, as I said before, the veteran community is very tight-knit. We're very close. We always look out for each other. I'm 100 times more likely to reach back to a veteran who reaches out to me and says, hey, can I borrow 5 minutes or 10 minutes of your time on the phone, versus someone who went to my grad school. Right? So we have this awesome community, and we're willing to help each other out, and there's 2 million of us on LinkedIn. So let's take advantage of that, right? I will say that after I figured it out, I started reaching out to West Pointers, started reaching out to Army veterans, even, outside of branch, Air Force, Navy, Marine Corps veterans. And after a few months of actually doing that, I had a few offers from really big name companies, Nike, Goldman Sachs, those type of companies. So it works, and you just got to go out and do it. So let's show you how you do it, right? So we recommend minimum 30 connections. Make sure you reach out to them. I don't connect with anyone unless I have spoken with them or have met them in person. What I like to do is send a cold in-mail to them. And again, with your upgraded job seeker account, you're able to send more in-mails. So I just say very succinctly, 2 lines. Hi, my name is Mike Benedoso. I'm an West Point graduate or Army vet. I'm a current student at UCLA Anderson. I saw that you work at company XYZ doing, ABC. Would love to chat with you for 15 minutes on the phone about your experience there. That's it. Very short, very succinct, and to the point, right? A lot of these people don't have time to read a whole paragraph, or sometimes I get emails from vets, and it's like 3 pages long, and I don't have time to read all that. And many of us, that's why we abbreviate so many things in the military. We're very short. We don't like to read as much, right? So just be very short, be very concise, but also be very polite in the same manner. So finding and joining groups, this is pretty big, right? Because anytime you find and join a group, anytime they put out any kind of announcement, any kind of conversation, you'll be aware of that. And then you'll also have connections to every single person in that group. So if I were to join this West Point group, I can actually see every single member of the West Point network, and I can even use that as a connection tool, right? So let's say I join this Vets in Tech group, and I see someone at Salesforce, and I want to work at Salesforce. I can actually reach out to this person and say, hey, I saw that you're in the Vets in Tech group. Even if you're not a veteran, I'm a member as well. Let's have can we have a chat about your experience at Salesforce? That's also been a very successful method of connecting with people. This is huge, finding and following companies, right? So go on LinkedIn, search for companies that you want to work for, and start following them. There'll be a button in the top right corner of every company page that says follow. The reason why this is important, because anytime that company posts a job, anytime they make an announcement, you'll be aware of it. You'll be notified on LinkedIn. And this is big because, if they publish a status update about their new product, something that happened in the news to them, you'll be aware of that. So you can stay on top of the ball, so that when you're talking to recruiters, you're talking to employees, you're adept to what's going on at that company. In addition, I'll say that a lot of companies actually target candidates that are following that company. So that's actually a checkbox in their search tool is, follower of our company. So they can actually narrow down their search. Let's say they have 1,000 candidates that match their criteria. A lot of times they'll click that box and they'll narrow it down to 200 people. So you want to make sure that you're in that pool of candidates. So if they're looking for candidates, you're following their company, you're staying adept to everything that's going on there. And then when they message you, you know what's going on. Any questions on how to build your professional network, following companies, anything like that? Nope. Awesome. Killing it again. All right, step 3, developing your professional career, right? So you know how to build out your profile and be seen by recruiters and establish your branding. You know how to connect with individuals and companies and make sure you put the right foot forward, get your foot in the door, which is, obviously the hardest part of working at any company. Now we want to make sure that you're developing your professional career so that you actually get to where you want to go. Number 1 is finding job opportunities. Remember we said before there's 5 million jobs on LinkedIn? They're looking for people like you, and recruiters have this big veteran hiring initiative. So right off the bat, you got a little gold star on your application, and you got you're ahead of the pack. So one way to go about this is when you go to the jobs board on LinkedIn, you can actually search for exactly what you're looking for and the location you're looking for. If you have a background in something and you go to the jobs board, we'll actually automatically tailor the job positions towards your background and your location. So let's say you live in North Carolina and you're a logistics officer. A lot of the jobs you're going to see just going to the jobs board organically. It's going to be a lot of operation roles, probably in North Carolina. But if you want to search for something different, you want to do a career switch, you can obviously search for more specific kind of positions that you're looking for. Again, the advanced search features can reduce your job search time. You can look for exactly what you're looking for, kind of cover that in a little bit. And then you want to reach out to the hiring managers and apply, right? So let's say you see this position here. You can apply on the company website. I would also suggest clicking on this and connecting with the recruiter who actually posted the job. This is huge, right? So they actually posted the job. So this person here is in charge of this position. She's in charge of fulfilling this open rec, right? So if you reach out directly, first off, you're going to be ahead of the pack. Not everyone's reaching out to the recruiter directly. And number two, you're going to separate yourself. You're going to really just distinguish yourself as someone that really wants this position. You're going to make sure that your application goes to the top of the pile. You're going to tell her, hey, I'm a veteran, so you're going to have that little gold star next to your application. That's a great way to do it. And if you know people in connection with her, that's another great way to get in front of everyone else. When you actually look for job postings on LinkedIn, they can actually show you, let's just do it right now. Let me show you a live view of what a job posting looks like on LinkedIn. By the way, this is me, so if any of you want to connect with me on LinkedIn, feel free to do it. It's a long Italian name, but feel free to go for it. So when you go to the jobs board here, again, it's going to automatically filter all these jobs that look for me, that fit my background, right? So I'm an enterprise account executive for a tech company in the Bay Area. So most of these are AE roles for tech companies in San Francisco, which makes sense, right? But let's click on, the Cisco one, right? This is what the job description looks like now. We just kind of reformatted. Now, first off, I can apply on the company website, but I also have 5 connections at Cisco. So I actually can reach out to all 5 of them and say, hey, maybe I know you. I know him. I know him. I'm really good friends with him. Let me reach out to him and say, hey, I'm looking at this Cisco role here. Maybe you can refer me internally. Maybe you can talk to me about this role. Maybe you can put me in touch with someone that does this role, right? So having connections to that company is huge. I'm also going to message Paula right off the bat. I'm going to let her know that I'm looking for this role and I want to talk more about her. We'll give you some insight into actually how many applicants applied for this role, what kind of skills they're looking for, what kind of seniority level, all this great stuff. We also give you some advice on how many people they've hired from my current company as well as from my current school, or my past school, I should say. And again, 5 connections at LinkedIn, I can go through at Cisco, I go through each one and talk to them about this current role. Here's another thing, too. We actually automatically search for this role, and we look for people that are on that team. So I know who works at Cisco on this team for this role that I'm looking for right now. So I can actually reach out to them directly and say, hey, Lisa, my name's Mike. I work at LinkedIn. Would love to chat with you about this role at Cisco. And, again, I have 4 people here that I can do that to. I say, hey, you're an Aggie. That's awesome. I went to West Point. There's some, connection there. I'm sure you can think of some things to say. A lot of these people are MBAs. I could say, hey, I went to business school as well, blah, blah, blah. And so this is really good opportunity to, when you go to a Monster, Indeed, or any of those other job boards, they kind of just give you very blanket information. LinkedIn, we could say, hey, here's the job opportunity. Here's the recruiter attached to this job. Here are people at this company. Here's the team that works in this position. Try to connect with as many people as possible. Put the right foot forward in your attempt to get this position.
Mike, this is Van Noah at the IDB. There was a place where it said something about top schools sales or something on that website. You were just in there, scrolled up a little bit from where you were.
Let's see here.
Yeah, there.
Which one?
It was your arrow was right on it. Go down a little bit. There's I don't know. Maybe a little bit further there.
There we go. Oh, yeah. Top schools for sales. Yeah. So this is based on some analysis we did on exactly, the schools out that their graduates went into sales, right? So just, further insight into, what I'm going for, my role, what this position is, and the schools that push out those candidates for those roles.
And that was a sales position? Is that why it comes up as top schools for sales?
Yeah, this is sales business development.
And so if for whatever the category is, you'll see a top schools for that.
Exactly.
Okay.
You'll also see other roles out there that the people that looked at this role, they also looked at, right? So if maybe this role doesn't work out, or you want to look at more roles that are like this, you can also look at this banner right here. These are all very similar positions, some at the same company, some at different, that I might want to look into. So I mean, it's a list of 10 other positions just like this one that I could actually do the same process for. And I think same thing here. So here's more jobs at Cisco. Here are similar jobs, right? So if I like this position, nothing's stopping me from looking at a similar position at a different company and doing the same kind of process.
Is there a way to go from the school angle and see what sort of businesses have a high concentration of folks from your school?
Yeah, so that's very, very good question. So there's a couple ways you can do that. Number one, you can actually go to Cisco, and I can actually say, okay, well, there's 83,000 employees. Let me do a search. So you can actually, with the job seeker account, you can actually get more granular in the actually search results. So I have 83,000 results. Let's do this. Let's look at someone, or this is past company. You can look at past school. Here we go with school right here. So let's say I went to NC State, right? I can click on that. 1,200 people from NC State now work at Cisco, right? And then you can drill down even more, right? So you can get really granular in exactly who you're looking for. You can also do this. If you go to My Network and you say Find Alumni, now for me it's going to bring up my business school, but let's say I want only people in the United States, and let's say I'm looking at Google for a potential employer, and I'm in sales. You can start clicking more and more and get much more narrowed down in your search. I now know 32 people at Google that went to my school that do sales for Google. So I can reach out to each one of them, or a few of them, and say, hey, I'm looking at sales positions at Google. Do you mind chatting with me about some opportunities there?
Yeah, and that is the account that you give that's free for a year, the job seeker thing?
Correct. Yes. All right. So any other questions? We're kind of running a little out of time, but we're almost done anyway. So I wanted to save some time for Q&A, but let's get through this real quick. So take advantage of company careers pages. Obviously, I said follow companies because, again, every time they put out information or post a job, you'll be aware of that. The career opportunity tab, a lot of companies have this. It's the careers tab. This will be, talking about the culture of the company, what it's like to work there, any job postings that they have. So make sure you visit the careers page so that you have a good understanding of the company, the culture, and what you're getting yourself into. Okay, so lastly, as I said in the beginning of this presentation, we're giving every veteran a free 1-year subscription to lynda.com. That'll give you a good resource to actually go in there, develop some hard skills for some skills gaps you have for positions. So let's say for that position, I was looking at the business development position, I needed some skill out there that I didn't have. I can go to lynda.com, type it in, find a few courses on that skill, develop it so that when I go to the recruiter, I could say, hey, I actually do have all the skills. I check all the boxes. It's actually a really great online tutorial or online education source. We're actually just a little kind of I don't know, free advertisement for me. We're actually publishing a new course on lynda.com. It's going to be published in a month or so. It's called LinkedIn for Veterans. So it gives you a good glimpse, a good 45 minutes into how veterans can most effectively use LinkedIn. So look out for that. I'll also say that we are partnering with, I don't know if any of you guys know, it's the most recent Medal of Honor recipient, Florent Groberg. Actually, let me show you right now. I want to make sure that you guys all know this. So Florent just received the Medal of Honor from President Obama. He actually, not sure if you've ever heard his story, but he tackled a suicide bomber in Afghanistan who blew up underneath him or next to him. So, he saved the lives, I think, of 12 Afghan citizens and VIPs that he was actually protecting. So just unbelievable hero, just a model for all of us veterans and soldiers out there. He's actually partnering with LinkedIn to get his message across on the importance of education, combating veteran homelessness, and getting out there to for all those veterans to really seize the day. So feel free to go on LinkedIn and connect with Florent. He'll actually be speaking at LinkedIn on April 21st, talking about his experience, announcing our partnership with him. So it's really important to see what he has to say. He has some really good messages. So little plug there for him. Let's jump into it. So we went over to Lynda, and obviously you get a free premium job seeker account that I mentioned before. All you have to do is go to veterans.linkedin.com, and when you do that, you'll be brought to a website where you can sign up for both Lynda and your free premium account. Here's the site right now. We're actually in the process of reformatting it a little bit, but that's the site. I'll send this all to you guys, but pretty much the difference between LinkedIn profile and your paper resume is LinkedIn is a living document. It's the much more updated, living kind of document right now that people are using. A lot of universities are actually foregoing their alumni database and just using LinkedIn. So the more information that you have, the more skills that you put on there, the more likely you're going to be recruited by companies who are actively looking for veterans to employ. So it's a great way to get out there, great way to connect with people, great way to get exactly where you want to go, as well as develop some insights for the industry you want to get into. Is there any questions? I think that's it. I know, Sabrina, you wanted to put some information up on contact information for you guys. Do you have that, perchance?
Yes, we do, but we can post that later. So thank you.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. So any questions? That's it. That's the whole shebang. Again, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. But is there any questions about using LinkedIn, the importance of it, how I used it, anything whatsoever? Nope.
Nope, it doesn't look like anybody's got any questions.
Okay, either everyone's asleep or I did a really great job in answering everyone's questions. I don't know which.
Mike, you did a phenomenal job. This was extremely helpful, and we know this is not your normal routine. So thank you for taking the time out to talk to our veteran population, and thank you for what you do.
Yeah, of course. Happy to help. Definitely reach out to me with any questions. If you have anything you need from me, I'm happy to help any veterans.
Great. Thank you. All right, well, with that, I guess we're going to end the webinar. For those of you on the call, I will send this link, this recording out once I edit the beginning part.